Hello everybody! In the final part of our Godot 4 tutorial, we will add one more scene to the game workflow, and it will be the introduction scene with some simple animation and background music to enhance the game startup experience. And as a bonus, I will say a few words about exporting the game as a standalone product to share it with your friends or make it ready to release. Let's finish the game structure now. We have overlooked one crucial aspect until now, and that is providing an introduction to the game. While using the menu screen as an entry point is feasible, it lacks the visual appeal and excitement of an impressive animation accompanied by mysterious music. Let's take the opportunity to try it out and see how it enhances the overall experience. So we'll start with creating a new scene. Let's scroll down to Scenes folder, right click, create new scene, and it would be 3D scene, which we call the intro. Okay. Now let's attach a new script, intro GD, and as we plan to include 3D objects from the game, we need to prepare the environment. So we'll copy and paste the usual nodes from let's say the many scene, work environment, directional light, and camera 3D. Okay, 1, 2, 3, Control C to copy, and Control V to paste. Okay, so this is the first time we will accompany an animation player node into our project. Which will be responsible for playing all the animations used in the intro. We will start with introducing the person or company that created the game. So we will first, as I mentioned, add the animation player, just to be ready. Animation player, here it is. And before we fill animations into that, we will prepare something. So we'll right click the intro and new child node and canvas layer and a label as its child node label. Here it is, and let's rename it to author label. Okay. I already prepared the text for this label in our SCV file with translations, so we'll simply use the key here instead of text. Let me open the file in the text editor, and it should be the last one. Filip Rachunek presents. Let's use it there. Okay, and of course we need to change the font and font size and anchor. So the font, we will add the usual one. Let's see it in 2D. Scroll, zoom out. Font size 40, why not? And the layout and the anchors preset center. Okay. Now, we don't want just to display the text, it's not cool enough. We will animate its alpha value to make it fade in and fade out. Let's open the animation tab here at the bottom and click animation new. Let's call it, for example, author fade in out as our first animation. Okay, and now once the animation was created, we have a new track here, and you might have noticed that small key icons appeared next to all properties in Inspector. This means that we can change values of these properties using keyframes in the animation system. So let's find the one we've been talking about, the alpha value of the text color. That should be here. Control, theme overrides, colors, and font color. Let's change the color to make it fully transparent. So we'll drag alpha value here. Okay, this would be the initial value here. And now we'll click the key icon to create the animation track. I think we don't need the reset feature, so let's just unclick it and click create. In the top right corner of this animation panel here, where is the clock icon, we'll set the animation length. Let's say that 15 seconds should be enough for now. And it's time to add keyframes. So let's right click the track here. And I think that the values like 4 seconds and 14 should be okay for the transparent text, and 7 and 11 to make the text opaque. Okay, so right click here, insert key, and if we click it, it should open here in the inspector. It seems that 4 is right and the value should be 0. Let's click it, yeah, verify it is 0. Now we wanted to do the same for 14 seconds. Right click and insert key. Let's click to verify, yeah, 14 is perfect. Now 7 seconds, right click, insert key, and the value we want to be 1, as the text would become fully opaque. Okay, and what's next? Yeah, we've been talking about 11 seconds here. Insert key, click, and the value. And it seems that we don't want to be black, we want it to be white. So pull it up, and the same would be done here. Click and make it white color. Okay. We can observe the transparency transition here in the track, and we can also check the animation, how it looks, how it will look in the game. So let's press play here and observe. Nothing's happening for the first 4 seconds, and now it's getting opaque, and after another few seconds it should fade out again. Good. I think we are satisfied with the result, so we can proceed to integrate it into the script. We will drag the animation player to the script intro. Let's open that. Here it is as a new node with control, of course, as usual, and we'll add the following code to the ready function. Animation player play, and the name of the animation. We have only one animation there, so it's this one. Great, we definitely made progress, but there are still further adjustments that need to be done to seamlessly integrate the new scene into our workflow. We need to make the intro scene a new entry point of the game, which means we should move the init function calls from the menu scene to the intro scene. Let's just select these first 4 lines and cut them and copy. Okay, and now, of course, let's go to project settings, application run, and let's change the main scene here to intro scene. Here it is, and close. Now we will select animation player, open it in editor and an inspector, and find its signals, and we want to connect the signal animation finished to a new function in this script. The reason is that after animation is finished, we want to switch automatically to the menu scene to just start the game as usual. So it should be here, it is here, and let's create a new function called launch menu scene. Forgot to. Launch menu scene. Get 3, and the usual change scene to file, and the scene would be res scenes, many. Okay. I'm making it as a standalone function because we will call this code from at least two places. First would be the animation finish signal callback, and the second one we will add an option to just cut the animation with by pressing a key and switch to the menu scene instantly if the player wants to. And of course we call this function from here, launch menu scene. Okay, so from now on, when you initiate the game, the intro scene will be triggered, and once the text animation reaches its conclusion, the game will smoothly transition to the menu scene. In case you find that duration of 15 seconds is too lengthy, feel free to modify the keyframes to shorten the interaction animation to your desired length. Okay, let's see it in action. Start the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, I think it works. By the way, you have surely noticed that we have the cursor during the intro scene, which shouldn't be there because there is nothing to click at, so we will remove it later. Let's exit the game. Okay, so we have the animation, but still there's nothing to hear. And the crucial element that is absent is music. So it's about time we incorporate the first musical composition into our game. In this course, I utilized a song that I had personally composed a few years ago for my album, this one. But of course, don't hesitate to substitute it with any other track that suits your preferences. So let's switch back to Godot. And of course, if the song is in an uncompressed format, like WAV, definitely convert it to OGG or MP3 to save a lot of space, usually 10 times. The best and bug-free way to convert it is to download FFmpeg and follow simple instructions to do so. Okay, so of course I already have the song ready. Let me first create a new folder, music, here, music, and we will drag it there. Here it is, hybrid OGG. Okay, and the song is there. Very well, let's open Sound Manager, and we'll need a new child node. Right click, Audio Stream Manager again. Let's call it intro song and drag the song to its stream property. Okay, and now it's important to switch the bus to music, so we would be able to set a volume for it separately. Alright, and now instead of just playing the song, we'll create two functions in the Sound Manager script to fade in and to fade out. It will sound more natural than an instant play or stop. And this time we will use tween again. So let's add the reference to the song to the script, drag and hold Control, release, here it is, and we'll create two new functions, func fade in intro song, and let's add an optional parameter position, because under certain circumstances we will want to start the song not from the start but from another position. We will get to it very soon. So now if not intro song playing, which means if it's already playing and for some reason we call this function again, nothing should happen. Intro song, let's set its volume to something negative, so it would start from almost a silence, -20 is okay, and start playing. Intro song play, and now we want to smoothly increase this volume until it reaches until it reaches 0. So let's define the tween. Tween is get tree and create tween. Okay, and start the animation. Tween tween property again, because we want to tween the volume dB property. So the object to affect is intro song. The property is volume dB, and the target value is 0, and the duration of the animation, let's give it 1 second. All right, this is the fade in. Let's make fade out in a very similar way. So we just copy that and rename the function to fade out. And again, we don't want to, no, the opposite. We want to do it only if the song is playing. So let's delete not. Now, if the song is, sorry, if the song is playing, we can simply create a tween. We don't need to set the volume at this moment. And this time we will make it in the opposite way. So the target value would be, let's say, -40 to make it really just go to an almost silence. And one more thing, we want to do something after the animation finishes, and what we want to do is to stop playing the song completely. So let's do this. Let's define a callback, tween callback, and which means after animation is finished, let's just call intro song and its stop function without parameters. All right, and now we can call the fade in function from the intro script. Let's get back here, and in the function already we will add it here. Sound manager, fade in intro song. Okay, and of course we need to fade out after animation finishes, I suppose. No, not here. We want the song to play even in the menu screen, but when the player presses the start button to play the game, the song would fade out. Let's get to the menu section, menu scene, and where is on start button pressed? Here. So before the scene transitions to main TSCN, we will call this sound manager fade out intro song. All right, and of course after the game concludes and returns to the menu scene, we want to replay the song, including the portion that played during the introduction animation. Let's add calling the fade in function in a function with the offset parameter to the end of ready, where it is here. So sound manager fade in intro song, and I think I again made some experiments, and 64 was the best point to restart the song from, not from the start. Okay, and of course, to ensure players' convenience, it's crucial to consider that as the length of the intro increases, players should have the option to skip it. This can be accomplished by incorporating a feature that detects a particular key press, such as spacebar, enabling an immediate transition to the next scene, or we can just make it react to any key, to pressing any key. Let's reopen the intro scene and add this simple function here. Func unhandled input event, and if event is pressed, Let's launch the menu scene. Okay, basically, as I said, this will react to any key press. But of course, if you want to make the key specific, like the spacebar, we would implement the standard input function without the unhandled and do it the usual way. By the way, I made a mistake. We shouldn't have moved this line from the menu scene to the intro scene because it should definitely have stayed there. So let me just fix it. I'll Control X to cut, and let's go back to settings and do it here because we will need the mouse cursor in the menu scene. And on the contrary, let's call game manager capture mouse here. Okay, we're almost ready to test it out. One last thing, as you remember, we usually change import settings for the sound files to get rid of the loop, but in this case we might want to make it loopable, make it to play it in loop. So we will simply click here to set the loop on the OG replayer and re-import. That should be okay. Let's start the game. And the song is playing with the fade in. Let's check it works without interruptions. We'll wait 15 seconds. And the menu screen is here. Let's try the volume. So go to settings and change the music volume. Yeah, it seems to be working. Alright, let's go back and start the game. The music should fade out. It did perfectly. And once we finish the game and get back to menu, escape, it was restarted. Great. Let's just try that the intro can be skipped. So we run again and press any key. Yeah, it worked. Good work. Okay, one more thing regarding the song player. I made a mistake here in Sound Manager script and didn't use the parameter position at all. So I added it here to the play function, and of course it was completely useless in the fade out song, so I removed this parameter. Now when we start the game, skip it and play, and we get back to menu, we should hear the song playing from another position. Yeah, seems to be correct. Exit. Okay, congratulations on completing your game. Well, definitely not entirely. There's still a lot of stuff to add, but let's suppose that you already intend to present the game in its current stage. While it is playable within the Godot editor, you may now wish to share it with people who do not have Godot installed on their computers. Additionally, you might have plans to distribute the game across various platforms, such as mobile devices or Steam. To accomplish this, it's necessary to export the game as a standalone application that does not require any additional dependencies. So, when it comes to exporting your game, Godot offers, I would say, comprehensive and up-to-date information in their official documentation. Therefore, I will provide only a brief overview of the basic and quick process for generating a standalone game specifically for Windows. For more detailed instructions and guidance on exporting to other platforms, I recommend referring to Godot's official documentation. Okay, let's get back to Godot, and first it's necessary to install the export templates. So let's go to Editor, this time not Project but Editor, and open Manage Export Templates, and the Template Editor Template Manager opened. Here you can easily download and install all required resources with a single click. And the click is here on the button Download and Install. Of course, I already used this function before, so I already have my templates installed, but if you never get to this, you will need to do the first step. By the way, sometimes the manager shows errors like unable to fetch the mirror list or the one-click solution doesn't work for other reasons. So there is a workaround. You can go to the Godot site here, to the download page, scroll down and download the exports from here manually. Then we go back to the template manager and we would click install from file, locate the file and install the templates. Once this part is finished, let's close this dialog and go to project export. Here it is. Let's click add and find the platform we want to export to. We'll choose Windows desktop. By the way, a list of platforms contains this UWP as well. It can be a bit confusing as this option is displayed with the Windows logo too. But you should use it only if you intend to distribute the game on the Microsoft Store or Xbox. So we'll choose Windows Desktop, and a panel with plenty of parameters appears. Let's set only the most important ones. So we definitely need to set the export path. Let's find some folder. I think that we could go with, for now, downloads to find it easily later. Cannot save. Of course, we need to write the final game name, so let's call it shooter. Okay, save. And now binary format embed PCK. We check this option if we want to generate only one exe file that would encapsulate all resources. If we leave it unchecked, Godot will create exe to include the engine runtime and PCK to contain your game assets. I'll leave it unchecked for now because we want to verify the size of the exported assets to make sure that there is nothing, I would say, nothing that shouldn't be there. And finally, application company name. Let me just write my name and product name space shooter. All right, and now we are ready to click export project here and complete the export. We'll probably see some kind of warning. Export without debug we unselect. Yeah, this kind of warning that about missing RC edit tool, but we can ignore it for now. That tool is necessary to replace the default Godot icon in our game executable file. So okay, and I suppose it should be there. Let's find out and scroll up. Yeah, here it is. This is the runnable, which contains, as I said, the game runtime, so it takes about 67 megabytes, and our assets are contained in the file with a size 12.5 megabytes. That's not bad. Quite reasonable considering that it includes a song file which has 4 megabytes itself. Of course, there are ways to decrease the number of the exported game decrease the size of the exported game files. So I will just go very quickly through them. So, what can we do to decrease the export size of our game? First, let's make sure that we filter out any unnecessary files that the game does not require during the export process. For instance, in our case, we utilize the models folder to import Blender models into Godot and construct scenes from them. However, once these scenes are created, the original GLTF files are no longer needed by the project and can be safely excluded from the export. Let's just click here to tab resources, and there it is, filters to exclude files. So we can, for example, type this models and *.glb. From now on, the exported file wouldn't contain any files of this type found in this folder. The second trick we can use is to Optimize materials. We already did that. If you recall, we've been decreasing the final texture size in the material maker from 2024 by 2024 to only 512 by 512. It can be decreased even more because our models are not too big, so details of these textures are barely visible. I remember that during my early experiments, I didn't do this, and the final game file exceeded 200 megabytes, which was an extremely big number. So after this optimization, it was reduced to, I would say, tenth of the original size, which is great. Now, of course, we need to verify that the audio resources are in compressed format. We already have that for the song. And of course, if the number of sound effects increases, it would be great to, here it is, convert this WAV file to OGG or MP3 as well. Right now it's not absolutely necessary because we have only very short sounds, and these files take a couple of kilobytes or 100 kilobytes tops. So it's not entirely something we need to do, but it's better to keep that in mind. Another thing is that we should take time to evaluate which assets and resources are actually being utilized in our game. It's possible that during the process of searching for the best looking material, we may have imported more materials than we actually have there. So the unused materials can be safely removed as well. Godot has in fact a built-in tool to help us in some cases. Let's open Project, Tools, and select Orphan Resource Explorer. And now we can simply verify which resources are actually owned by something, and make sure that we remove those that don't have explicit ownership and are not the root resources like these scripts. Okay, we can also right-click a material in the file system. Let me just find one of them. For example, this one, right-click and select View Owners. Is it there? Yeah, here. And we can see the material is used by Asteroid, which is okay. But of course, if nothing shows up here, it's very likely that this material is obsolete and we can remove it. Another approach to reducing the overall size of our game is to optimize the Godot engine itself. By navigating to Project and customize engine build configuration, we have the option to disable features that are not necessary for our specific game. For instance, in our case, we could consider disabling 2D physics here and XR support, because we definitely don't use them at all. I cannot guarantee that these changes will directly affect the export file size, but it's definitely worth experimenting. Okay, I think that should be everything. One last thing, if we export a game with this PCK file, there is a specific tool which is called Godot PCK tool. It can be Googled and downloaded from GitHub, I think, and it enables us to unpack this file to verify that no unexpected resources were added to the export file during the export process. And that's it. Our course came to its end. Of course, the game we've been creating is far from being completed, as there are many features we can add to it. For instance, we should create more levels and a simple selector to give players a chance to select what level they want to try out. Or we can enhance the enemy objects with more behavior abilities to change direction and rotation during their life cycle. fire various types of weapons, turn to kamikaze drones to set an intercept course with our ship, etc. Some of these suggestions and many other tips are included in the book, so I definitely recommend getting a copy as a complement to this video course. You should find a link to the page dedicated to the book in the video description. Anyway, thank you very much for watching and good luck with developing your games. See you in the next course.